Hey guys, welcome back to my series on solid programming skills. So this video is going to be the final video in the segment of solid, and the D stands for dependency inversion of control. So we're going to review that today here. I'm going to simplify it because that can get very complex. So let me get started. So let's just pretend that we wanted to create a super world, right? So we would say something like class super world, right? And this super world is going to have a constructor. If you don't know what that is, it fires off immediately once you instantiate the class. Then we're just going to give it a private variable here, and we're just going to call this private variable car. That car has to be a type of supercar, right? Because we want to have a supercar in here inside of this super world. So the way we would get the supercar to go inside of that super world is we would say something like inside of the constructor parameter, we're going to say something like car, and then we're going to pass in a type of supercar. Then inside of these brackets, we actually have to assign it. So we're going to say this car is equal to car. So what that does is it assigns the car that we're passing in to this private variable inside of the super world, right? So this piece right here is the D in solid, which is basically called dependency injection, to make it simple for you guys. And I'll continue to explain a little bit further on that. But first, let me create a function here, and let's call this something like begin high speed chase. Okay. So in my super world, I'm going to have a function that begins a high speed chase, right? So this high speed chase is going to return, and in backticks, I'm going to just call this.car dot hyperspeed, but we actually have to call a function. And then we're going to say something like, but then I crash, right? Because we know that hyperspeed up here, it says I am going at super speed, right? But then I crash. So how do you use this dependency injection? It's very simple. So down here, we'll create a const. Let's call it earth 10. So we're now in the multiverse. And then we're creating a new super world, right? So this new super world is called earth 10. Inside of the super world, we're going to have to pass in a supercar. So because we already have a supercar here, we're going to pass in that variable called supercar. And that right there is called dependency injection. Because let's say I wanted to use this earth 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say something like earth 10 dot begin high speed chase. And let me console.log that here. And then we can actually run the code. So if I hit run code, you'll notice it says I am going at super speed, but then I crash, right? So what we ended up doing, just to recap, is we injected the supercar into the super world class, and that kept the supercar completely separated. So it's isolated into its own class. So all the logic for the supercar lives here, right? And we don't need to touch any of that, but we can actually use it. So we can call the hyperspeed function, which is what we did. So we pass in the supercar, we called the hyperspeed function, and then we appended onto that hyperspeed function. So now when we created a new instance of the earth 10 of this super world, we were able to actually begin a high speed chase, and then we crashed. And that being said, that concludes my little series on solid principles of programming. So if you like this kind of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you comment, like, click the bell for notifications, and I'll be making more and more content just like this. Thanks for watching, guys.